It's nice and crispy.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be featuring this video with the love of my life, my niece Devia. She is not a professional cook. She is a teenager. She made this recipe with love for her family. You guys do not be judgmental, be inspired, and enjoy the video. Happy holidays. Actually, best wishes for 2021. I'll let you enjoy the video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We all love food, guys. So today we have an exceptional video, and it's about food. So what we're going to do today?
Hi, my name is Davia, and as you may or may not have seen, there are these tacos that have been taking the internet by storm, and they're called BIRRIAQUESATACOs. And so today I'm going to be making it with my aunt. I'm going to be using a recipe from two different people, a combination of two, from Coop Can Cook and Deep Fried Honey. So if you'd like to follow along, you can pull up those recipes and watch us make these tacos.
Yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Okay, so here are the ingredients that we're going to be needing for today's recipe. We have some chuck pot roast. We have about 6 pounds of this. We're going to be making a large recipe for our large family. We have 5 different chilies here. There are Guajillo chilies, New Mexico chilies, Arbol chilies, and mulatto chilies. So we're going to be using this to make our consomme and the sauce that we dip it in. Along with a few other spices, we have ground allspice, ground ginger, black pepper, whole marjoram, there's ground cumin, coriander, cinnamon stick, bay leaf, and as well as Mexican oregano. And we're going to be using all of these things to make the consomme today.
Okay.
First things first, we have to cut these things up.
Okay, just like you guys, I'm just gonna be following the instructions because she's the boss.
Okay, so you can start cutting these. We're going to cut these into chunks to make it easier to cook. So if you want to just cut these like into a few large chunks, and then we're going to cut them into a bowl.
Like just like a square in that?
Yeah, just like a square chunks. Okay, so we have our cut beef right here, and we're just going to season it with some granulated onion powder, a little bit of that, as well as some salt. So once it's been seasoned, we're going to take it over to the stove, which Maddie, I'll let you handle. And we have our pan preheating at medium high heat, yes. And she's going to add some oil on there just to heat it up. And we're just going to sear the sides of the meat. We don't want to completely cook it because we are going to be putting it into the slow cooker. So just like a little bit of oil. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
We're going to let it heat up a little bit and then add our meat into the pot or the pan. And while she's doing that, I'm going to cut up a small onion, and I'm going to be using some ginger and garlic paste. Afterwards, after we've seared all the meat, we're going to, oh, what? We're going to, wait, hold on, pause. After she's done searing all of the meat, we are going to take this onion that I have here. I'm going to start chopping this finely into like small pieces, and then we're also going to be using this ginger and garlic paste. And once the beef is done searing, we're going to saute this. We're going to be adding it to our consomme mixture at the end. This one I can't speak. And so while my aunt finishes up cooking the beef and sauteing the onions and garlic paste, I'm going to start with our chilies. So like I said, We have, I think, 4 or 5 different chilies. There are Guajillo chilies, New Mexico chilies, arbol chilies, and mulatto chilies. And also you can use like chipotle chilies in a can, but we don't have those right now. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to de-seed. So what I like to do is
You don't need gloves?
You can use gloves, but it's okay. I just wash my hands afterwards.
No, but it's not going to hurt you.
Oh, no, it's okay. So we're just going to take the seeds. There's a lot of seeds in here. You're just going to dump them out. The seeds are the spiciest part of the pepper, so we don't want those in our sauce, or else it's going to be really spicy. So let's take those out. And we're going to do that with all of our chilies. And then we're going to boil them in some beef stock so we can soften up the chilies and they'll be easier to blend into our sauce. So I'm just going to de-seed all of these. Okay. Oh, don't turn it off. Okay. Okay, so on our stove here, we have around 2 cups of water boiling. I'm going to add this powder bone beef broth. Typically, if you just have regular beef broth, you can just boil 2 cups of that. But they didn't have it at the store, so we're just going to be using this powder version and making our own. You could also boil beef bones and also make your own beef broth. So you just want to read the instructions so you know how much of the pack you need per cup. So I'm just going to use.
How many cups do we have here?
We have 2 cups.
Okay, so you're gonna need both. How many comes in there?
It comes with 4 in there.
Is this supposed to be thick or just gonna?
No, it's just a broth. Basically.
Okay. And
we're just gonna wait for it to boil. We're gonna use this to soften our chilies. So make sure your chilies are in a heat-proof bowl so that the bowl doesn't break or melt or anything. And once this boils, we're just gonna pour it over the chilies.
So what are you doing now?
So we're just pouring the broth over the chilies because the chilies are dry. But by adding the hot broth, it's gonna make them rehydrate them. And we're just gonna cover this with something.
You need this one. Is this work?
Oh yeah, that works.
Is it gonna fit?
Do you need to cover it over? No, it's fine.
Okay.
So we're just going to cover this and we're going to wait about 10-15 minutes and then we can start making our consomme. Wow. Okay, so the chilies are done resting in the beef stock. They're nice and soft. So we can just pour this straight into the blender. So, chili in the blender. I cut up some tomatoes. It's just 1 diced up tomato. And then also under this we have our sauteed onion and garlic powder. I have 2 bay leaves and we're just going to use a little piece of cinnamon stick. I'm going to pour that all in there. Okay. Next, we're going to measure out some spices. So we're going to measure out 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano. This is half a teaspoon, so I'm going to do 2 of these. 2. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of black peppercorn. This is some black peppercorn. 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. And then typically you would use 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, but we just have coriander seeds, so I'm going to replace that with 1 or half a teaspoon of coriander seeds. We're going to do half a teaspoon of ground allspice.
I just want to put it following. Where can we find all these seasonings and ingredients?
You can find these at like just a regular grocery store. We have a Hispanic grocery store in our neighborhood, and this is where I picked up a lot of these ingredients. Sometimes like your traditional like Target or Walmart won't have some of these like area specific ingredients like Mexican oregano. So if you have like a local family grocery store that sells these items, you can usually find it there.
Okay.
This is some whole marjoram, and we're going to be using half a teaspoon of that. And then I'm also going to use half a teaspoon of ground ginger. You can also substitute this for an inch of fresh ginger as well. Okay. I'm going to close it up. We're going to put our vinegar on here. And we're going to mix it into soup. I'm just going to put our strainer there. And pour our sauce. I'm just going to mix this until all of the liquid is basically gone, and all that's left is just paste.
So I can purposely remove the paste?
No, the paste you can just throw it away afterwards because you want the sauce to be smooth.
Is this the beer? I'm going to move this?
Yeah. Okay. So you just want to get as much of the sauce out as possible. As you can see here, it's going into our meat. So just make sure you get as much of it as possible. And obviously these are just some of the chili skins, unground seasonings that might have been in there. And if I left out some seeds, the seeds are also in there. Okay, so I think this is good. So you can just take a spatula substitute and just kind of wipe this off. Top it off. I boiled some more beef stock. So this is 2 cups of beef stock. We're going to add in there. And then we're also going to add one more cup of water in there. And then to top it off, we're going to add 2 more bay leaves. Okay. 2 more. We're just going to mix it up together. Make sure that the beef and the sauce and the beef stock is all mixed together and homogeneous. And then once this is done and it looks kind of like this, you can turn on your slow cooker and we're going to put it on high. Put the cap on and we're going to let it cook for about 4 hours. And then in 4 hours we'll assemble the tacos.
Oh, I got one.
We're going to take out our meat. You can see it's nice and tender. And you can even try some of our sauce. We can take out our meat, and with 2 forks, we're going to begin shredding it so we can put it in our tacos. So, have a bowl ready. And we left 2 bay leaves in our soup. You just want to make sure that you don't put them in your meat and that you eventually end up taking them out. Most of the time it's not a problem, just make sure that you keep out for those because you don't want to eat them. They're kind of bitter.
Oh. So, where's the taco? Just bring the taco here.
And I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take it out in groups, and as you can see, it should be like really tender. It should be really easy to shred at this point. So it's really minimal effort, just going in and shredding it. Okay, so we're at our final step. We have our shredded beef that was in our slow cooker for a few hours. We have the consome, which is just the liquid that was also in the slow cooker for a few hours. I just laid about a few cups of it so we can dip our tacos in there. We have some cheese. It's best to use Mexican cheese, but they didn't have it in the store, so we're using mozzarella today. Also cilantro, and if you like, you can add red onions into your taco as well. So, what we're going to do is, first thing, we have some yellow corn tortillas. You see here, we're just going to dip them in our consomme like so. And once they've been dipped, we're going to put it in our pan and get it crispy. Okay, so you can see it's starting to bubble up a little bit. So first thing first, we're going to put our cheese. So like I said, it's mozzarella, cheddar mozzarella cheese. And we're going to put it all over. Make sure you put it all over the taco because you want both sides to stick together once we finish closing it. So, I personally like cheese on the lighter side. I don't like to add too much. Next, we're going to add our shredded beef just on one side. And make sure to load it up. You do want this to be full of meat. I'm going to throw a bit of cilantro in there. And then lastly, we're just going to ladle on a little bit of consomme. Okay. So basically, there's already oil in here, so you don't need to add oil to the pan, but it's going to make our tacos nice and crispy. And once you see that it's a little bit brown on one side of the taco, then you can flip it over. But we're just going to wait a few seconds for it to get a little bit crispier. I also have the stove on medium-high heat, so the cheese can melt a little bit faster. Okay. Once it's to your liking, we're just going to flip it over. Kind of want to sandwich it shut. And then I let it cook a little bit for about 30 seconds each side, just to make sure it's extra crispy, but you can even hear it's nice and crispy. And Maddie, you can plate it and grab the plate.
That's it? Just remove it?
Yep, just remove it.
Oh!
And there you go, there's our first taco done. And you're just going to repeat it with all of the meat you have left until all of your tacos are done. And then we'll come back once we finish all the tacos.
Alright.
You can finish it, and then we can do it. Okay. So we finished up our tacos. We just served up 3 for you guys to look at. I also served our consomme in this really fancy bowl, along with some more cilantro and throw some diced red onions in there. So we're ready to eat. You dip it into this.
It's really hot. It's hot. Alright. You want to take a...
How is it?